Good evening, everyone, and welcome back to the Football Tribe UG channel. Robert Kesakos is your usual suspect. Apologies, we are quite late for this evening's broadcast due to circumstances beyond my personal control. But we will try to do better next time. Anyways, we're already into halftime of that second semi-final of the UEFA Nations League between France and Spain, and France do find themselves 2 goals down against Spain. So, in quite spectacular fashion, really, and in a disappointing manner, to say the least. I think, however, we could be on course for a perfect score prediction because our prediction here was a 2-1 win for Spain, although Spain had found the third goal, and that goal was ruled out due to offside. So, really, interesting piece of action that we are witnessing. Although I thought France were quite very complacent in the way they defended. So, anyways, that's a bit of it. But let's get into that conversation and much more in regards to that competition. So, do join me for this broadcast, and we digest that action and more. We'll be following proceedings from the second half in just a bit. The second half does get underway, so we're going to be following the updates as well from that particular game. A couple of changes here and there from the expected lineups or from the probable lineups that we had read, but some of our own submissions or revelations have sort of come true. I did not expect that Rando Kolomwani would start this game, and indeed, yeah, he did. He has not started. They did prefer Ousmane Dembele. That midfield of France has sort of been quite lacking, to say the least. Pretty much in this kind of fashion in which we had expected that it would go down. So, really, anyways, as I continue to ramble through this, allow me test our audios and make sure that we are on the same page, guys, so that we're not off guard. Could be here talking to myself with the audios down, but I think we're good. Explorer, hi, good to have you back. It's been a minute since I last seen you on here. Ilfi Dogan, hi, how are you doing? Thank you for joining us on the broadcast. Kindly like the broadcast, but also consider subscribing if you're new here. I can see Raymond. Some explorer is asking, where are you from? I'm from Kampala, Uganda. Thanks for asking. Thanks for asking, explorer. I can see. Is that? I'm trying to read your name in just a bit. Hopefully it can show up on my screen, on my other screen. Raymond is it Raymonde is asking, how old are you? Explorer, come to India. I've been invited to India a couple of times, and I intend to honor those invites should God bless me with the resources that it requires me to get out there in India. Said says hello from India. Thank you so much, India. Thank you so much for the love and support. I think most the people that have supported me most beyond my own countrymen back in Uganda have been India. I think it's my second best country. So thank you so much for the love and support. Explorer says you go by Shino Devi. I'm not sure I do understand that phrase. Then Raymonde says, how old are you? I'm in my 30s. I'll keep it at that. But thank you guys for joining the broadcast. Kindly consider liking the broadcast, but also consider subscribing to the channel if you're new here, so that you can continue support what we do here, so that you can help me grow on this channel but much love and appreciation that I do have for India, really. A good number of comrades from India really supported me. And especially on these night broadcasts that I do know come quite late for many of you. I do know namaste. I do know that because right now it's about 11 p.m. East African time, and that side it should be around 1 a.m. because you guys are about 2 hours ahead of us. But you still get on here and do support what we do. But so that doesn't go unnoticed. I do really commend it and appreciate it so much. For some, of course, some of them cannot go with us for the entire length of the broadcast, but for the amount of time that they dedicate to be with us here is always appreciated at great length because they do quite a pretty job, helping with the engagement. They do ask all their sports questions, especially in regards to football. I do my very best to answer all those questions, and we keep the conversation going and we keep the conversation going, sometimes till late on. In some cases, people have had to tell me good night while I'm still on here, having the chat. But somebody is asking, do you like Star Wars? I'm not a huge fan. I've not really followed Star Wars that much, so I do not want to lie to you. In all honesty, but I do respect people that do love Star Wars. I think the kind of things that I do follow maybe quite to the contrary. And yes, I'm still telling you a little bit about India. The reason as why I love India and its people is because most of them are cricket fans. But I come on here, speak football, and they still stick around and ask any questions they know about football, tell me what teams they do support, and we engage. And because while the majority of them support their cricket, there are some that do follow football as well. I've encountered some Barcelona, Real Madrid fans, some Arsenal fans, Chelsea and Liverpool. I've yet to hear from a Manchester United fan from India, but at least they do show up and support what we do on here. But anyways, thank you so much, Explorer. Thank you so much, Raymonde. Thank you so much, Elfie Dogan, who said hi earlier on. Sorry, I missed your message. Tonima Nimitas. I hope that's how you pronounce your name. It's a bit difficult for me, almost tongue twisting or tongue biting for me. But you also said hello earlier on. Thank you so much. Your name is a bit difficult, so forgive if I mispronounce it. Mr. Tony Matimas. Mr. Tony Matimas. Yes, I think that's the name. Then you say, come to India, I will do your hospitality. Thank you so much, Explorer. Thank you so much. I do hope that in the future I get really the opportunity. And by the opportunity, I mean in terms of resources, to really fly out there to India and do get to experience this kind of love and support, or at least welcomeness, or in person, and the kindness that have been extended to, at least for as long as I've been on this channel. I've indeed experienced some good love from India. Many of them have become my subscribers. They do watch my content. Some share my content. Others have recommended it to some of the channel, to some of their, small circles of colleagues and that kind of thing. So I really do appreciate that effort. But like I said, it being a football channel, we'll be speaking football as we do continue to follow the proceedings between Spain and France in the semifinals of the UEFA Nations League. For those of you that are football fans, we are witnessing the second semifinal of the UEFA Nations League. So following yesterday's first semifinal, that was between Portugal and Germany. Do you listen, Osho? What do you mean by Osho? I do not understand, Explorer, what you mean by Osho. But thank you so much, Mr. Explorer, for extending your kindness by offering to show me around India. You should ever get the opportunity to visit it in the future. But like I was saying, speaking about the game itself, we're already back into the second half. We are into the 50 second minute of the game, and Spain continued to lead the game by 2 goals to 0. Those goals were scored by Nico Williams and Mikel Merino. Nico Williams does play for Athletic Bilbao in the Spanish La Liga, while Mikel Merino does play for Arsenal in the English Premier League. And it was Mikel Oyarzabal that did provide the assists for both goals in the 23rd and the 26th minutes, respectively. Osho was a famous philosopher. Search him once. Okay, let me take note of that. I'll be sure to check it out after the broadcast to check out the philosopher. Maybe speaking of philosophers, I've only heard of the likes of Jim Jacques as one of those that I got the chance to study about. So the first half in itself was that kind of game that you did expect between two giants. I think there's a penalty here. There's a penalty for Spain after a foul that was committed against Lamine Yamal. Looks like Spain will be extending their lead any minute from now. They're already leading by 3 goals to 0, but now it looks like they do have a penalty because I think Adrian Rabiot is the culprit here in committing the foul against Lamine Yamal that does win a penalty. Yes, they've converted it, and it's 3-0. Spain do lead 3-0. It's a goal. Beautiful. I didn't think that France were going to get this hammered, because earlier prediction, for those of you that were with us earlier on in the day or in the morning broadcast, for when we did make our prediction, it was a 2-1 victory for Spain. But this kind of emphatic victory is not one we had seen coming for the reigning champions of the UEFA Nations League. For those of you that do remember, these guys are the reigning champions. Spain, they are the reigning champions of the UEFA Nations League. And to achieve that, they did beat Croatia 5-4 on penalties. That was in 2023, while France won the edition in 2021 when they beat up against Spain by 2-1. So it's a sort of a bittersweet revenge that we are experiencing between Spain and France. And then we do have, of course, Portugal won the inaugural edition, and yesterday they did progress to the finals of the competition after beating Germany by 2-1, beating Germany, I think, for the first time since 2000. Ahmed Septa, one of our usual suspects here, says, "Bro, I really appreciate your hustle. Keep it up, bro. I believe you will become a big football media in Uganda." Thank you so much, Ahmed Septa, really. Thank you for the love and support. Thank you for the kindness that you do extend to me on this channel. Much appreciated, really. So, and then Mike Mignan, Mike Mainan was sent in the totally the opposite direction. Speaking of the French #1 goalkeeper, Mike Mainan, he's a target for Chelsea, and he indeed, according to recent reports, he has asked to leave AC Milan, where he's been for the last 3 years. He only has 1 year left to his current contract, and he has asked to leave AC Milan amid his interest from Chelsea. So that's according, I think, was it Ben Jacobs revealing that news earlier on in regards to that transfer, although the two parties are still apart in terms of valuation for the player, because AC Milan want up between 20 to 25 million pounds, while Chelsea are only willing to offer about 10 million euros, which could be about 8.4 million pounds. Meanwhile, Spain have scored the 4th goal. It's 4-0. It's 4-0. Quite spectacular. Quite spectacular. I mean, this is becoming embarrassing. It's more of a reminder of that UEFA Champions League final between Paris Saint-Germain and Inter Milan that ended in a 5-0 victory for PSG over Inter Milan. So that's what it's really becoming. Ibrahim Konate can only shake his head. You say, are we going to round 4 of the World Cup qualifiers? I'm not sure I do particularly understand your question, Ahmed Scepter, but you also say my country win against China tonight. Okay, congratulations about that. Ahmed Scepter, kindly remind me, your country meaning, is that meaning India? Um, my apologies. Yes, your usual suspect, but your country has sort of slipped my mind. So, but I'm not sure I get your answer really well. I mean, how that was an incredible goal. Really, really a sublime finish. Quite a sublime finish there for Spain's fourth goal. I mean, I, France France are being beaten hands down. They need to make some changes. Yes. Oh, from Indonesia. Yes. Oh, I need to take note of that one somewhere. Ahmed Scepter. Sorry, Ahmad Scepter from Indonesia, so that I do not forget it next time. What do I know about Indonesia? Really, not much, but I've seen some vlogs online about Indonesia. But congratulations! Oh, I think. Oh, and you said you're going to the fourth round of the World Cricket qualifiers. Okay, is that the World Cricket qualifiers you mean? Uh, uh, Ahmad, is that what you mean? Because I know India, Pakistan, Indonesia, Bangladesh, uh, mainly those Asian sort of countries in between there have a great respect and appreciation for the game of cricket. And when it comes to the batting, the wickets, you guys know it all. You know it better than I do. But anyways, it was Pedri that did score the fourth goal in quite spectacular fashion. We are speaking about Mike McNann earlier on, and he was absolutely beaten, hands down. But lots of stories making the rounds. No, bro, Football World Cup qualifiers, World Cup 2026. Really, uh, Ahmad, my apologies. One, because to be honest with you, when it comes to the World Cup, I've never had Indonesia participating in the World Cup. I've heard of at least Korea, Japan, Japan and Korea on numerous occasions. I've had um, what's the country? China, yes, China competing really. But as far as Indonesia, Malaysia, Singapore, some of those countries, as far as the FIFA World Cup goes, really, I've never heard of them in that sort of context. So maybe I'll need to get a look at it. But France do have pulled one back through a penalty taken by Kylian Mbappe. So that game is 4-1 between France and Spain. But I mean, the game is still young. We're only in the 61st minute of the game. But I think Didier Deschamps needs to make some changes. I mean, that midfield is not really working at all. It's not really working. He needs to he needs to sacrifice one of the attacking forwards, because he started with Michael Olise, Ousmane Dembele, Desire Doe, and Kylian Mbappe. He needs to sacrifice one of those for a third sort of holding midfielder who can also advance. But Adrian Rabiot can also do the advancing. Yes, bro, it's our first ever round 4 since we have our Independence Day. It's a historical night for us. Oh, congratulations to you. Congratulations, really, Ahmed Scepter, to you and your friends who do follow the game, and those with whom you managed to make the celebrations with. So, and just like I explained, my lack of knowledge or their of Indonesia's competitiveness in football has mainly because of what you clearly acknowledged, that you've not really been main competitors. For example, if I'm sure if I asked you about Uganda's participation in the World Cup, you could not remember any of it because they've never made it to the competition. Yes, they do play in the qualifiers, but oftentimes they've lost out to the giants of Africa, the likes of Algeria, Egypt, the likes of Senegal, Cameroon, some of those countries that have often made it to the World Cup. But now remember, because the competition was expanded from a mere 32 teams, and that will give other continents more participating power. Guys, kindly consider liking the broadcast, but also consider subscribing to the channel if you're new here, so that you can continue to support what we do and support this channel to go further. But thank you so much for sparing the time to be with us. Much appreciated for the love and support. So in that context, that I think that is what will give the likes of Indonesia, maybe even my own country, Uganda, the chance to maybe qualify, because the expanded version will see more countries qualifying. That's the new World Cup. That's for the new World Cup. It was expanded from 32 teams to 48 teams. So that is from what we previously known. So the last edition with 32 teams was that of the FIFA World Cup 2022 that was hosted in Qatar. Oh, France here missing a golden opportunity through Desile Dowie there. They could have easily gotten their second consolation of the night, but Desile Dowie fires his attempt goes wide of the mark, and it remains a 4-1 in favor of Spain against France. So the new expanded version will see 48 countries participating in the 2026 edition of the FIFA World Cup that will be hosted by 3 host nations. That's Canada, Mexico, and the United States, although it is the United States that is always sounding out or standing out of the 3 host countries. And I think we're going to have 2 consecutive editions of the World Cup that are going to be hosted by more than one country. Remember, the edition of the World Cup 2030 will be hosted by 3 countries. That is Morocco, Portugal, and Spain. Those 3 nations will be hosting. However, some games, I think about 3 games will be, or 3 or 2 games will be played in South America to honor the World Cup making 100 years. So I think those games will be played, I think, in Paraguay or Uruguay and Argentina. Some of, at least those countries, I stand to be corrected, but at least some games will be played down there in South America as the World Cup commemorates 100 years, and then the rest of the edition will be played amongst those 3 countries in Portugal, Spain, and Morocco. Now, Morocco, for purposes of context, are going to host the Africa Cup of Nations 2025. That is going to be played in December. Ahmad says, I hope one day your country and my country one day will meet in the World Cup, bro. Hopefully we do get that chance, really. Hopefully we do get that chance. And I think best on that new format of having 48 teams, we will have 12 groups of 4 teams each. And out of those 4 groups, we will have, I think, 2 teams advancing for the 24 teams that will meet at, I think, no, will it be that format? Yes, it will be in the format of, yes, 12 groups, 1 team qualifies, I think, through, because two top teams from each group, yes, will automatically qualify the way it's been to the next round after the group stages. And that means you have about 24 teams they are qualifying. And then additionally, there will be another 8 teams that join the 24. Those 8 teams will be the 8 best third-place teams from across all groups also progress. Now, it is similar with what we did witness in the Africa Cup of Nations for the 2023 edition that was hosted by Ivory Coast. For those of you that do remember, the eventual champions, that is Ivory Coast, did advance to the knockouts round as one of the third best placed teams, because remember, for it had what, 8, I think it had about eight groups. The AFCON. Ahmad says round 4 is like a continental death match. Okay, okay. I think that is like I do get the point because previously, again, when it came to the World Cup qualifiers, you'd have a playoff uh, for certain teams, especially I think about 4 teams that would play for the final spot to qualify for the eventual edition. Yeah. So like that, but it's as a result of the expanded. Oh, oh, this is embarrassing now. Like I said, it's embarrassing. Spain have scored the 50th goal. Lamine Yamal on target once again. He scored a penalty. He scored another. It's 5-1. They are beating France quite terribly. I mean, I expected France to lose, but not in this kind of fashion, really. Not in this kind of style. Not with the embarrassment that they are being treated to. Pedro Porro providing the assist, while Nico Williams, who scored the opening goal of the game, did provide the assist for Pedri's goal. That was the fourth. So while France were trying to fight their way back into this game, Spain have just gone ahead to restore their 4-goal cushion there. But I think, Mike Maynard could have done better with that, with stopping that attempt. Spain is just too good for his age. Okay, Spain is just too good for his age. You mean Lamine Yamal? I mean, yes, Lamine Yamal is too good, but in this particular case, yes, very wonderful talent. That's I think is not even up for debate. That's why we even hear him in the contention for the Ballon d'Or at just the age of 17. I think the youngest Ballon d'Or winner was Ronaldo Nazario Darima when he won it at the age of 20. But here we are speaking about a 17-year-old potentially going on to win the Ballon d'Or. And by the way, should Spain go ahead to win at the UEFA Nations League, his odds of sort of winning the Ballon d'Or would further increase, because that means he would have won a quadruple of titles in this calendar year, something which equates to Ousmane Dembele's own trophy wins, because they won Coupe de France, they won the Coupe Super Copa de France, they won the French League One, and then they won the UEFA Champions League. That's 4 titles. Lamine Yamal has already won 3 domestic titles in the Super Copa Hispana, Copa del Rey, and the Spanish La Liga. So if Spain go ahead to win the UEFA Nations League, then it would mean he equally has 4 trophies in one season. So really, that is that as well. So yeah, quite the challenge. Spain is going to their 2010 superior day. Well, I mean, they do first Portugal in the finals. I do not think Portugal will be lightweight in that midfield the way France have been in this midfield, because I mean, even some of the changes they've made now. Yes, you're hunting for goals, but you're introducing Bradley Bacola. You're introducing Bradley Bacola for Desley Doe, and yet I thought he needed to make changes in that midfield. Grand Cheki was brought on for Michael Olise. Maybe that was a smart change. Malo Gusto brought in for Pierre Kalulu. Those are some of the changes that have been made. But I was still explaining the context in comparison between the AFCON and the FIFA World Cup that is going to be played. Now, the Africa Cup of Nations usually has been played with 24 teams. Those 24 teams have been grouped in 6 groups of 4-4, and 2 of each group winners would advance. That's the first and second from each group would advance to the round of 16. And then 4 other teams that finished as third best from the 6 groups would then join the other 12 to complete the round of 16, and then we play the round of 16, then the quarterfinals and the semifinals, respectively, until the final. So here is what will happen in this particular case. In this particular case, for the World Cup, that is the World Cup 2026, what we will witness is 48 teams. Now, 48 teams will be grouped in 12 groups of 4-4 each. Then we'll have the top two, that is the first and second, advance to the next round. Now, that will mean a total of 24 teams. In explanation, now, those 24 teams will then go back to the 12 groups and look for the third best teams across the 12 groups, and those 8 teams will add themselves onto the 24 to make a tally of 32 teams. I hope I do make sense. So they will make 32 teams that will then play will start the knockout round, and then that knockout round will eliminate half of those. So we'll go from 32 to 16, and then so from the round of 32 to the round of 16, then to the quarterfinals, the semifinals, and the finals, respectively. That's the best way I can explain it to you guys. I hope I do paint a clear picture for you in regards to the new format. Now, based on that new format, it means that continents do get more teams to participate. And I think Africa goes from 5 countries to maybe 9, because the continent has a total of about 54 countries. And then, France hitting the upright there, I think through Ousmane Dembele, missing a golden opportunity to pull another back. But it is what it is. Spain still lead by 5 goals to 1 in the 74th minute. Yes, there's a new comment from Ahmad. Ahmad says, I think France is not having some unique football playing style compared to Spain with tic-tac. France is just best on their player skills. As far as this particular game is concerned, I would not sort of disagree with you. They played more like a collection of stars as opposed to playing like a team. That is what it is really felt like. While Spain, they do play with as a team. And when you look at that Spanish team, by the way, they do not have a composition of stars in a manner of speaking, because you have Lamine Yamal as one of the standout players. Then you'll have Pedri in that midfield, and then you look around and think Nico Williams is not yet to that profile. Unai Simon is not the kind of goalkeeper in the profile of the likes of Manuel Neuer, the likes of the likes of Manuel Neuer, the likes of maybe Oliver Kahn in years gone by. Guys, forgive me, I need to adjust my phone a bit. Okay, I think we're good there. Anyways, so with that said, Spain do play as a team. You look at the likes of Marco Cucurella. He's not sort of the kind of star that you would equate to maybe Dani Alves. Never mind that Dani Alves was never Spaniard. But in terms of Mikel Merino is that kind of regular midfielder. He's a good player. Martin Zubimendi, another good player, but he's not the kind of star that you would equate to the likes of Sergio Busquets, to Andre Pirlo. And yet, on the other side of Spain, you're playing with Kylian Mbappe, Ousmane Dembele, players that are of that high profile. And then you have Champions League winners that think they've climbed to that stage. But I did think, and I did explain in my preview for this particular fixture, for those of you that managed to catch the morning broadcast, that I did feel that that midfield of France felt lightweight in comparison to Spain, and in that if they wanted to be better than them, they needed to be more physical. And yet, again, they've not exhibited that. Adrien Rabiot. But also, while Spain have this 5-1 lead, I think if I were to give my man of the match award, I'd give it to Unai Simon, because he kept Spain in the game in the first half, and he's continued to do that throughout the second half. It is his saves that have sort of kept France at bay in as far as this particular game is concerned. And then Ousmane Dembele has been withdrawn for Rando Kolomuani to try and see if they can score, but this is quite an embarrassing defeat for France, really. So, in terms of the conversation that we are having, maybe there's a couple of factors that I need to sort of look up for. Yes, in terms of the World Cup, the tournament will be played for 39 days, beginning 11th June to 19th July. That is in midway next year, and then we do expect the total number of matches to increase from 64 to 104. Then it will also be played across 16 cities, and those cities of the three host nations will include Toronto and Vancouver. That's for Canada, so that's 2 cities for Canada. 3 cities in Mexico, Guadalajara. For those of you who are not familiar with Mexico, Guadalajara, maybe if I say Guadalajara cartel may ring a few bells, but I hope I'm not quoted out of context in any way. I'm not trying to promote anything, but just to bring some sort of semblance to paint the picture for you. Then Guadalajara, Mexico City, and Monterrey. Monterrey, I think, is one of Monterrey. There's a team called Monterrey that is going to be, I think, in the FIFA Club World Cup for Mexico there. And then 11 cities in the United States of America. So you can see that the comparison doesn't balance, but you can understand the terms in size of economy, the geography, and etc. In terms of size of all the 3 countries. So for the cities in the United States of America, you have Atlanta, Boston, Dallas, Texas. Then you'll have Houston, you'll have Kansas City, Los Angeles, Miami, New York, / New Jersey, and then Philadelphia, San Francisco Bay Area, and Seattle. So that will be sort of the composition of cities that will host the FIFA World Cup. In Canada, you have 2 cities, Vancouver and Toronto. In Mexico, you have 3 cities, Mexico City, Monterrey, as well as Guadalajara. Oh, wow, absolutely brilliant. Ryan Cherki, the Manchester City target, 21-year-old French international who plays for Lyon, is a target for France, has just scored a screamer against Unai Simon. So it's 5-2 there for Spain versus France. What a strike. Absolutely ugly, could easily go down as the goal of the game. But that was a sublime strike. Ryan Cherki, 31 years of age only, is a target for Man City. And by the way, Man City and Lyon are entangled in negotiations. That goal coming in the 79th minute. Guys, I know my feed is a couple of seconds, if not more, behind in regards to this particular game. So if you had already seen the goal, do bear with me on this one. But I was still telling you that Olympique Lyon and Man City are entangled in negotiations for the signing of Ryan Cherki, 21 years of age, for the French attacking forward there / winger. Very brilliant left foot. For Manchester United fans, I'm sure you did witness him in action against Manchester United in the quarterfinals of the UEFA Europa League, as United knocked them out 7-6 on aggregate score. That proceeded a 2-2 draw in France, and then a 5-4 victory for Man United at Old Trafford in that dramatic encounter. So there it is, Ryan Cherki, quite a brilliant player, really, I must acknowledge. One of the iconic talents in this sort of French side and this era of French stars, because they do have so many young stars there. Bradley Bacola, Desli Doué, Michael Olise, Ousmane Dembele, Kylian Mbappe. All these are attacking forwards that are quite in the form of their lives this season. So really, in as far as the league was concerned, he did score 8 goals and provided 11 assists in 30 league games for Olympique Lyon. That's a 19-goal contribution. Again, he's a player that we've spoken about widely on this channel because Man City were interested. Manchester United were mentioned in the conversation, but Liverpool had more concrete interest, including the Liverpool manager Arne Slot flying out to France to meet the player for personal talks, to pitch him about the Liverpool project in a bid to try and sign him. Although then Liverpool shifted their attention to Florian Wirtz, that meeting had sort of been pre-scheduled before things got serious for Liverpool and Florian Wirtz. So whether they can sign both remains to be seen, but the player has already agreed to personal terms with Manchester City. That is run checky for you. Anyways, maybe is there anything I didn't digest in as far as Amadi's Scepter's comments go? I think we've talked about the tic-tac football of Spain. We've spoken about France's bluntness, not playing a unique style. If they do have a unique style, we clearly haven't seen it in this game, really. We clearly haven't seen it in this game. And I think it may take France a little bit of time, or even more time than they do anticipate, to replace a player like N'Golo Kante. Because even when he went to the Saudi Pro League, he was still someone to represent France at last year's edition of the Euros and also the World Cup that was in Qatar in 2022. So I think it will take France a bit of time to find that solid holding midfielder, a Patrick Vieira, a Claudio Makelele, really. I know our Chouameni is a good one. I know Eduardo Camavinga are good players, but you sort of get the feeling that something still is a bit lacking in terms of, finesse, in terms of cleanliness, in terms of industriousness. But for me, that's how I do view it, unless somebody has different opinions. But anyways, it is what it is. That's there you have it. In regards to predictions, I think in regards to my personal prediction, I'm already way off mark from a perfect score because, like I said, my prediction had been a 2-1 victory for Spain, and yet the game is 5-2 already. But I mean, that goal by Rancheki was quite sublime, as well as that goal scored by Pedri, who scored Spain's fourth goal. Really, I mean, Mike Mainan should have served that goal. Oh, it's 5-3. Goal, it's 5-3. Vivian scores an own goal. It's 5-3. France 3, Spain 5. We are into the 85th minute of the game. It's 5-3. Danny Vivian, the one that did receive a red card, as Manchester United beat up against Athletic Bilbao by 3-0 at San Mamés in the first leg of the semi-finals of the UEFA Europa League. So for those of you that do remember him, Danny Vivian is the one that has sort of scored into the back of his own net. So yeah, those are the proceedings. It's a 5-3 in favor of Spain, but France are not going down without a fight. And by the way, he was the second half a substitute. He did replace Robin Nomad. Yes, Robin Lee Nomad. He did come on for Robin Lee Nomad. That's Danny Vivian. For those of you that watched the semi-finals of the UEFA Europa League, he's the one that caught the red card for, I think, was it a foul against I think Rasmus Højlund? Was it Rasmus Højlund? For pull on Rasmus Højlund? Yes, I think he did pull Rasmus Højlund's shoulder, which led to his red card and eventually a penalty that was then converted by Bruno Fernandes as Manchester United beat Athletic Bilbao by 3-0 at San Mamés. And then, of course, we all know they won the reverse fixture by 4-1 at Old Trafford to advance as 7-1 on aggregate. To advance to the finals at the time. So that's Danny Vivian for you. Just to remind you maybe a little bit about the earlier goal scorers, and Nico Williams did open the scoring for Spain. Mikel Oyarzabal providing the assist. Ooh, Mike Minen there coming to the rescue of France because they could have easily conceded the six. Anyway, Mikel Merino 3 minutes later because Nico Williams' goal did come in the 23rd minute of the game, and then 3 minutes later Mikel Merino did score to make it 2-0. Again, Mikel Oyarzabal providing the other assist, and then that it ended 2-0 at halftime. And then in the 54th minute, Spain won a penalty following a foul by Adrian Rabiot against Lamine Yamal. Lamine Yamal stepped up and converted from the spot to make it 3-0, while Pedri, thanks to another assist by Nico Williams, quite finished off in a sublime fashion to make it 4-0 at the time. And then on the other end, Kylian Mbappe scored from the spot, the penalty spot, to make it 4-1 or to pull one back for France, but they went on to concede a fifth goal just in the 79th minute. Badly. Bakola, Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ, what a move. Bradley Bakola going on a brilliant run from deep in the midfield. He holds up play quite brilliantly, waits to play back in. He plays the cutback on the edge of the 18 yards box, and Rando Colomwani blazes the ball over the bar. Really. It could have been 5-4 as we speak, and you could see the disappointment of the French manager in Didier Deschamps on the touchline there for that missed golden opportunity. Who knows? If that goes in, we could have been in for quite a hectic evening in as far as stoppage time was concerned. But it stays 5-3 in favor of Spain over France. So, like I was saying, minutes after Kylian Mbappe pulled one back for France, Lamine Yamal went on to score the other side to make it 5-1, and then like we did witness, Ryan Cherki arguably scoring the goal of the night when he made it to make it a 5-2. Kylian Mbappe providing the assist, and then Danny Viviani's own goal made it 5-3. Anyways, we're into stoppage time, 90th minute of the game. We're waiting to find out how many minutes have been added on. But if France had been more clinical, the result here could have been quite much different. But like I said, for me, my man of the match arguably so far has been Unai Simon. While he has conceded 3, I think he's done enough ever since the first half to save to make the saves to keep Spain in the game as early as the first half. Otherwise, if it hadn't been for him, the scoreline could have been much different already. So yeah, we are waiting for this game to end. And then oh wow. Wow, Barcelona about to hand Wojciech Szczesny a two-year contract extension. Earlier on, we thought it was going to be a 1-year contract extension for the Polish international, but according to Fabrizio Romano, it's going to be 2 years. He says Barcelona confirming that it will be 2 years. Anyways, we'll get into the depth of that conversation and more at full time. But for now, let's try and conclude this particular game between France and Spain. I remember yesterday Portugal beat Germany by 2-1 to advance to the finals of the UEFA Nations League, and now it looks like Portugal will be playing Spain in the finals. We have 5 minutes of added time, and I've seen Spain bringing in Gavi in place of Mikel Merino there. Already 2 minutes of the 5 added minutes are gone, so we do have under 3 minutes left of play. But anyways, the rules say a minimum of a minimum of those added minutes, not exactly those added minutes. I know it's a rule that tends to confuse a good number of football fans, especially when we have a team that we support that it could be winning marginally, and the referee sort of extends the time beyond the scope of which was shown on the fourth official's clock. So, but the rule says a minimum of those minutes, so it could be more. So if the referee says 5 minutes of added time, it could go up to 10 minutes. So 5 is the minimum. That's the explanation. But the game is still 5-3 in the 93rd minute of the game. Just 2 minutes left to full time, and then Spain will be in the finals of the UEFA Nations League to try and defend their title that they did win in the last outing, and that was in 2023 as they beat Croatia by 5-4 on penalties. They will be up against the inaugural champion in Portugal, who won it in 2019 when they beat up against Netherlands by 1-0. Portugal were also the host nation at the time for those finals, while the host nation for the 2020-2021 edition was Italy, which France won by beating Spain by 2-1, and then Netherlands hosted the third edition, which Spain went on to win. So this time around, it's Germany hosting, and Germany will now play France in the third place playoff for this tournament. So I'll be keeping you up to date on those things and much more. Really, but quite impressive there. We are drawing closer to full time. Just a couple of seconds left on the clock. In as far as the added time was concerned, we're into the 94th minute. I think France cannot salvage this unless a miracle befalls them. Unless a miracle befalls them, but they've sort of lacked the urgency in the final minutes of the game. Goal 5-4 in the 95th minute. Rando Colomwani on target for France. Rando Colomwani on target for France. There, they are winning. Sorry, they are not winning. They are still trailing. I mean, this kind of feels like a penalty shootout. For everything Spain have good in midfield and going forward, they cannot say the same about their backline or their defending. And I mean, this Spanish team is typical of Barcelona. Very good for midfield onwards, very poor at the backline. And I look at this Barcelona side, and they're not trying to sign, top class defenders out there. I'm not saying Pau Cubas is not a good defender, but he's not a top kind of defender. Because if I were them, I'd be out there looking for some really good young defenders, like Real Madrid went on to snatch Dinhausen from AFC Bournemouth for £50 million. They're activating his release clause, and he did a sign. And by the way, he did get to start this game. By the way, in that Spanish backline, Dinhausen alongside Robin Lee Nomad. Who was substituted off to bring in Danny Vivian, who scored that own goal. But it's 5-4. We are into the 96th minute of the game. From now on, anything can happen. I do not think something will happen, but anything can happen, because this is quite fascinating. France will be disappointed, by the way, hugely disappointed that they conceded 5 goals against Spain, but a 5-4 result is quite telling. It's quite telling. It's quite telling, to say the very least. Are we waiting for a miracle? We are into the 97th minute of the game. If France scores just 1 goal like this, we go into extra time. That's the nature of football. Do I need to remind you of a last-minute goal that sent the game into extra time? Well, let's go back to 2014. UEFA Champions League final between Atletico Madrid and Real Madrid, their arch rivals. Sergio Ramos scoring in the 93rd minute of the 4 added minutes to send the game to sort of level the game 1-1, and we went into extra time, and Real Madrid ended up winning 4-1. Gareth Bale scoring in stoppage time. Cristiano Ronaldo, I think, was one of the goal scorers from the sport. And then Marcelo was the other goal scorer, I think, on the night. The final whistle is blown and Spain win it 5-4. What a game of football. What a game of football have we just witnessed between these two sides. Between these two sides. Spain have won it 5-4. I mean, what a game. What a game of football. I do not think any of us could have seen that kind of prediction, could have seen that kind of, really outing coming out the way it has transpired already over the course of 90 minutes. I definitely did not see it coming. So that means that Portugal will play Spain in the final. Will play Spain in the final. Just updating my sort of headline here, to match the broadcast really. But what an incredible night there for Spain. It has finished 5-4 in favor of Spain. Nico Williams scoring, Mikel Merino, a brace for Lamine Yamal and Pedri there on target for Spain, while Kylian Mbappe from the sport, Ryan Cherki, an own goal from Danny Vivian and Rando Colomwani are there on target for Spain as they beat up against France by 5 goals to 4. So there you had it, guys. A beautiful, beautiful game of football that we did just witness. That means Spain will be up against Portugal in the finals, while France will wait to play Germany, that is in the third place playoff of this year's edition of the UEFA Nations League. Like I did explain to you, the UEFA Nations League was introduced to replace what was deemed to be meaningless international friendlies that were on the FIFA calendar. So they thought European FAs or federations, football federations, thought that they should introduce a tournament that is sort of beneficial to all countries, that sort of engages them further, that brings a bit of competitiveness to the table. So to add that to their calendar, and then that's why we just came out of the Euros last year, and then this year we are busy concluding on the UEFA Nations League, and then in 2026 we'll be playing the FIFA World Cup. We'll be playing in the FIFA World Cup and that kind of thing. And then 2027 we'll have another edition. So that will be, I think, it should be the edition of 2026 edition, maybe, that will go on to be played, I think, until 2027, maybe. I will wait to see how the football calendar will be assembled for these kinds of teams to go ahead and tussle it out. But there you have it in regards to the UEFA Nations League. Thank you for being with us for the longest period of time. We're not signing out, but I just want to send my shout outs to Ahmad Septa from Indonesia. There, quite incredible. He was telling us earlier on that Indonesia had qualified, I think, for the 4th round of the World Cup qualifiers there in Asia. I think we will find out more about that in the coming days, about Asia's 2026 World Cup qualifiers. But I mean, it will be a dream for Indonesia to make it to the edition of the FIFA World Cup come 2026. But There are some games that are going to be played during this month. That's on the 10th of June. Remember, the finals of the UEFA Nations League do come on Sunday, so we'll be back here with you to witness that as well, or to follow the proceedings. But on June the 10th, Japan will be up against Indonesia. Then China will be up against Bahrain. South Korea will be playing Kuwait, while Kazakhstan will be up against United Arab Emirates. Uzbekistan will be up against Qatar, while Iran will play North Korea. As far as the Asian World Cup qualifiers are concerned. Anyways, let's move away from that and dive into the depth of transfers, because a lot has been happening during the course of the day, including Victor Osimhen, including talks between Victor Osimhen and Al Hilal are possibly breaking down as Al Hilal trying to find a striker that they could utilize in the FIFA Club World Cup that does kick off later this month. That's on the 15th of June. Anyways, where do we start it from? Anyway, some news that is sort of trending. Maria Momoto, hello, good to have you back. Welcome back to the channel. Some of the news that has been trending in the last couple of hours, I do not know, it did come from Luca Bendoni. Yes, that's the Sky reporter in Italy. I think Sky Italy are revealing that Arsenal are considering a potential deal for Chelsea goalkeeper Kepa Arrizabalaga, who is available for only £5 million as his release clause per English sources. Now, I mean, if you're Arsenal, I'm one of those Arsenal fans that is tired of us sort of signing a bit of what I would call deadwood from Chelsea and all these other clubs. I mean, we've signed Raheem Sterling on loan, burnt our fingers with him. We did sign Willian Borges da Silva, burnt our fingers with him. And David Luiz was a 50-50, sort of a fairly successful in as far as his Arsenal career was concerned. We've signed Kai Havertz. I think that one will be successful. We've signed Jorginho. That one was successful given what we needed at the time and the experience he did bring to the team and the kind of composure. But this idea that I would get to sign players past their prime, and that's why I'm opposed to the signing of Leroy Sané, even though it is on a free transfer. I mean, at 29 years of age, I think he's way out of his prime. He's not the Leroy Sané that we did watch at Man City. This idea that Arsenal can sign players and with the expectation that Mikel Arteta can reinvigorate their careers, that he can breathe some fresh air into them, is just putting old wine in new bottles, and it's really not working. But the idea of signing Kepa Arrizabalaga for a mere £5 million for a 30-year-old being a goalkeeper, I mean, he could as well have the next 8 years ahead of him, and he's a top quality goalkeeper. He did spend last season on loan to Real Madrid. Never mind that they did not sign him permanently because they still had Thibaut Courtois, who had been out on injury, and then they wanted somebody there to help Andre Lunin as the number 2. So he spent last season on loan at Real Madrid, and he has spent the entirety of this season at AFC Bournemouth, where he's done quite incredibly well. So signing a goalkeeper like Kepa Arrizabalaga for only £5 million, really for me would be a no-brainer, especially bearing in mind that Arsenal have just lost out to the signing of Joan Garcia, who has sort of who is going to join Barcelona, who are willing to pay his 25 million release clause for the 25-year-old Spanish international, arguably one of the best goalkeepers in the Spanish La Liga last season, and that kind of thing. So that's where we do kickstart our news from in as far as Arsenal are concerned. But there you have it, that Arsenal are considering signing Kepa Arrizabalaga from Chelsea, who with a release clause being I do not think it is cast in stone, but around £5 million. And if that is the case, I think Bournemouth were looking to maybe make that loan move permanent. But we'll wait and see. We'll keep tabs on that story and much more. Then, according to Sky Sports News, Arsenal remain interested in the likes of Real Madrid's Rodrigo Goes as they continue to plan the best way of strengthening their squad. Again, I was reading a report from a bit of an unfamiliar source, and I didn't want to give much credence to the source in itself regarding this Rodrigo Goes story. And let me try to find the summary of that very story regarding Rodrigo Goes, because it did say something in the region of Arsenal, or Arsenal insiders have seriously considered signing that is Rodrigo Goes. Yes, yes. The story was brought in by Hand of Arsenal reporting. In fact, originally from Lodra, yes, Lodra 1097, Lodra 1097. There apparently is the one that broke the story, saying that we can exclusively reveal that the recruitment team at Arsenal are in unanimous agreement that Rodrigo Goes is a player who could be the difference in the hunt for major silverware. Several key figures at Arsenal have spoken to Rodrigo, including a first team players, about the life at Arsenal/North London. Other Premier League sides are involved and have set out their strategy to lure him, but I'm told Arsenal will present a strong financial offer if the player is placed on the market. Of course, it goes on to say that these pending talks that has reported weeks ago, Rodrigo Goes is due to meet with the new head coach of Real Madrid, Xabi Alonso, to see where his future lies, whether he does have a place in his plans. Predominantly prefers to play off from the left wing. That's where he prefers to come off. And I think if he were to come to Arsenal, he would start ahead of Gabriel Martinelli, who is Arsenal's leader or starter in that side of the left-hand side of the wings. And I mean, he's only 24 years of age. 100 million euros, maybe is too high a fee, but I mean that is how exorbitant transfer fees have come. And maybe the other sticking point, as earlier reported on by some reporters, has something to do with his wage demands that could be a bit high, but he could really be a marquee signing for Arsenal. And they went on to equate it to an Ozil kind of deal, that Arsenal are willing to pull off an Ozil SQ transfer and compete with any club for the services of Rodrigo Goes should he become available. So that will depend on the talks that he will have with Xabi Alonso, that as reported weeks ago, Rodrigo is said to have a meeting with Xabi Alonso regarding his future at Real Madrid. This meeting is yet to take place, and we can also exclusively reveal Rodrigo is willing to emphasize his will to play a left side role. The Brazilian feels that this is where he can express himself and best and maximize his creative potential. Positionally, the Club World Cup will be a key indicator of how Rodrigo's future is settled. Real Madrid are adamant they do not want to sell Rodriguez unless the player asks to move personally. So that's one of the stories that has been making the rounds as we drew as the evening sort of drew to a wound up. Then in the other news, in the other key news of the transfer market, I mean, a lot has been going on during the course of the day, including Victor Osimhen, whose talks with Al Hilal seem to be breaking down. Galatasaray coming in strong to put in a bid for Victor Osimhen. There, they do want to sign him. Remember, he was on loan at Galatasaray last season, and he scored 26 league goals and provided 5 assists in 29 games. So that's really a story that has been making the rounds. We're going to explore that in a bit, but it looks like Fabrizio Romano also reiterates that Arsenal are informed on a £5 million release clause for Kepa Arrizabalaga as option to David Raya's backup. Initial talks took place Initial talks took place to be informed on deal condition, according to Sky Sports UK. And then let's quickly move away from that and go on to the Victor Osimhen deal that I was telling you about, because negotiations between him and Al Hilal are bound to collapse because he's yet to give the green light. Pressing Kosi says, good evening, my brother. Good evening to you, Pressing Kosi. Welcome back from that UEFA Nations League semi-final action between Spain and France. I hope you did enjoy that 5-4 sort of scoreline. Quite the kind of a netball / basketball result that doesn't come every day in football, but it did come eventually. Although to my personal dismay, that my prediction had been a 2-1 victory for Spain, they took it a notch further to make it 5-4 on the night in quite spectacular fashion or unexpected fashion. Had it not been for Unai Simon, maybe the scoreline could have been much different. But like I was saying, so Victor Osimhen had you didn't get to follow the proceedings. Yes, Spain beat up against France by 5 goals to 4. Goals by Nico Williams for Spain, Mikel Merino, that was in the 23rd and 26th minutes of the game in the first half, with Mikel Oyarzabal providing the assists. Then we came into the second half, and Spain won a penalty when Adrien Rabiot committed a foul against Lamine Yamal in the forbidden area. Lamine Yamal stepped up and scored that, and it was 3-0. And then minutes later, Nico Williams provided the assist to Pedri to score to make it 4-0. And we thought it was going to be quite the routing for France. And then Kylian Mbappe won a penalty on the opposite end, and he pulled one back. But just minutes later, Spain restored their 4-goal cushion through a sort of lazy Lamine Yamal kind of goal, because I thought the French goalkeeper in Mike Mainan could have done better to save that one, but it was 5-1 at the time. And then there came the introduction of a Manchester City target, Ryan Cherki, a 21-year-old French attacking forward from Olympique Lyon, came in and scored a very beautiful goal. I think if you're looking to watch the highlights of the game in regards to the goals, do look out for that goal by Ryan Cherki. It was quite a sweet left footer that beat Unai Simon in goal. So it was 5-2 at the time. And then I do not remember who made sort of the cross, but Danny Vivian did score into the back of his own net to make it 5-3. For those of you that did watch the semifinals of the UEFA Europa League, Danny Vivian is the culprit that got the red card at Manchester United, as Manchester United beat Athletic Bilbao by 3-0 at San Mamés in the first leg, following his foul against Rasmus Højlund. He did pull his shoulders, and it was considered to be he was considered to be last man denying a goal scoring opportunity at the time. So it was 5-3, and then very late on in stoppage time, I think around the 93rd minute or 94th minute, Rando Kolomuani did score a brilliant strike to make it 5-4. So that was the kind of game that we were treated to, a 9-goal thriller, just like you put it. Quite very entertaining, I must say. But I thought that France midfield was there were quite a bit of lazy bodies on the day. But Spain, in similar fashion, just like Barcelona are, very good from the midfield and going forward. In the back line, they were really poor, because had it not been for Unai Simon, then France could have easily scored many more. And then, so both sides had their gaping holes really, and I thought the starting lineups were quite questionable, especially for France when it came to that midfield that did see Adrien Rabiot starting alongside Kone, alongside Manu Kone, and yet and then ahead of them it was Michael Olise, Ousmane Dembele, Desiré Doué, and Kylian Mbappe. It felt like a collection of stars in that forward line. I thought they could have used somebody that is a more naturally an attacking midfielder in addition to sort of the double pivot there. to help their chances, because on the other side of Spain they did have Martin Subimendi, Pedri, and Mikel Merino in that midfield. So, anyways, that was the result of the final result of the game. The final will be on Sunday. That is between Portugal and Spain, while the third place playoff, I think, is going to come on the same day between Germany and France. So do look out for that. Spain did win the previous edition that was hosted by Netherlands when they beat Croatia 5-4 on penalties in the final. Then previously, the edition that was in 2021 that was hosted by Italy, France won it when they beat Spain 2-1 in the finals, while the 2019 edition, Portugal were the hosts and they won it by beating Netherlands by 0-0 in the final to win it. So that's the little bit of history in as far as the UEFA Nations League finals are concerned. And then, of course, other teams there will be more international games coming our way in the coming week. We're going to have some international friendlies, including England being involved in that. In South America, they're going to be in the 2026 FIFA World Cup qualifiers, just as well as in Asia. Indonesia will be in action against Japan on the 10th of June. The reason as why I highlight Indonesia is because one of our usual suspects, Ahmad Septa, is from Indonesia. So that's why I do highlight them. And we're earlier on engaging about his own country. And I was honestly telling him that I'd never heard of Indonesia in relation to football. And he did give us a bit of context to that. Anyways, so do not forget, guys, the FIFA World Cup in 2026 that is going to be hosted by Canada, Mexico, and the United States will have a total of 48 teams. Please do not forget that. You will have a total of 48 teams. Those teams will be pitted in 12 groups. 12 groups that will have 4 teams each. And out of those 12 groups, the top 2 will advance to the round of 32. That will make a total of 24 teams. And then the third placed teams are from out of the 12 groups. We'll pick 8 of those to combine with the 24 to make the round of 32, and then they will play, and then we'll have those teams slashed to half to go to the round of 16, and then the competition will advance from there on. It will be played for a period of 39 games across 11 cities, I think, in the United States, and then 3 cities in Mexico and 2 cities in Canada. And then, of course, we'll have 104 games in total, as opposed to the 64 games that we've been sort of accustomed to over the years, in as far as these kinds of tournaments are concerned, or in as far as the World Cup is concerned. So, anyways, forgive that, was just checking on something. But anyways, that's the gist of it in as far as the UEFA Nations League is concerned, in as far as the FIFA World Cup is concerned, for the qualifiers. So we'll be trying our best to keep tabs on some of those developments there. Yes, we're still speaking about Victor Osimhen. Now, Victor Osimhen has a contract offer of 15 million euros as net pay per season from Galatasaray, where he did play his football last season on loan from Napoli. Now, Galatasaray are willing to have made a bid of about 60 to 65 million pounds, 60 to 65 million euros to try and sign Victor Osimhen. However, Napoli want his entirety of his release clause, which is reported to be about 70 million euros. Now, Al Hilal were willing to pay the 70 million euros, but the player seemed to drag his feet when it came to personal talks between him and Al Hilal over personal terms. Al Hilal had promised to give him to pay him at least 30 million euros per season in net pay, which was double of what Galatasaray were offering. But looks like, I get the feeling that the Nigerian star is more interested in staying in Europe as opposed to going to Saudi Arabia. So then Al Hilal, who did unveil Simone Inzaghi as their new manager, following him parting ways with Inter Milan in the aftermath of that humiliating defeat at the hands of PSG in the finals of the UEFA Champions League, does want a striker and he does want a left back, and they are signing Theo Hernandez from AC Milan. Now, apologies for those of you that were with us in the morning. I think I did confuse Lucas Hernandez and Theo Hernandez. Apologies on that. So, but anyways, that's the situation regarding Victor Osimhen. But Galatasaray are really trying to get that deal over the line. They want to sign him on a 4-year contract. Away from Galatasaray and Al Hilal, Barcelona have confirmed to Vokshek Szczesny that they plan to give him a 2-year contract, not a 1-year contract, as had earlier been reported by some sources. Now, formal steps are yet to be done, but an agreement is in place for the Polish goalkeeper to stay with the Catalans. Now, guys, you ought to remember that we are talking about a player that had retired from football after leaving Juventus. He had decided to retire, and then Barcelona lost Marc-Andre ter Stegen to a very lengthy injury. And then when they looked around, they went and signed Vokshek Szczesny, and he turned out to be quite incredible. He really stood tall in that Barcelona goal as they went on to win their 28th Spanish La Liga title, and also won the Copa del Rey and the Supercopa Hispana during that season of the domestic treble. So the Polish goalkeeper looks set to be given a 2-year contract at Barcelona. But remember, Barcelona are also trying to sign Espanyol goalkeeper Joan Garcia there, who has a 25 million release clause in his contract. And according to some sources in Spain, they say that Barcelona want to send Joan Garcia out on loan as soon as they sign him. So whether it will be back to Espanyol or any other team out there for him to continue developing, then we will wait to see. But at least that's the plan that is being revealed. And then Como president Mirwane Suwasko confirms Cesc Fabregas has never once asked to leave. And now, Cesc Fabregas has been in the media or in the news the entire summer. Why? Because after a very successful campaign with Como, who were in their who had just earned promotion to the Italian Serie A, he guided them to a 10th place finish on the Italian Serie A table, and with that he attracted the eyes of many around Europe, including the Red Bull Group, where Jurgen Klopp is the head of football. So they wanted to take him to be the next manager. I think at RB Leipzig, he turned down those attempts or those offers to remain with Como, and then came Bayer Leverkusen with their own offer, trying to sign him because when Xabi Alonso left for Real Madrid, they needed the replacement. He turned that down, and then to remain with Como, and then that's how Bayer Leverkusen ended up with Erik ten Hag. Now, as soon as Inter Milan part ways with Simone Inzaghi, top of their list was Francesco Fabregas to be their manager. And according to Fabrizio Romano, they did have a meeting. Inter Milan bosses did have a meeting with Francesco Fabregas in London yesterday. So although Como did not give any permission to Inter Milan to speak to their manager, who they say they are counting on going into next season, and they are willing to back him with a transfer sort of budget of about up to 80 million euros, which could be quite the war chest as they try to finish within European Championship places next season. That means finishing somewhere around 7-6 on the table to qualify either at least for the UEFA Conference League, the Europa League, or even, if possible, the UEFA Champions League. So there you have it, Como for you and Francesco Fabregas. Then Milos Kakes will soon join Liverpool. Those talks are really ongoing. I think they are on the verge of reaching a final agreement for the transfer of Milos Kakes in a deal that could reach up to £40 million for the 21-year-old Hungarian left back. So, I mean, I know we reported on this news so many times that many of you wonder how often does it have to be closed for it to get over the line. As a football fan, it's easy to think that these things are sort of cut clear, uh, sort of go aways, that once you agree on a fee, then you're good to go. Usually there are contract clauses that teams agree on, especially when it comes to add-ons, payment structure, and those kinds of things. For example, on add-ons, they could put in there that if maybe if in his first season Liverpool win the Premier League title, then he will pay us an extra £1 million. If he makes 30 appearances in a season, then you give us £200,000. If the player maybe wins Player of the Season, then you give us £500,000. If the player wins the Ballon d'Or, then you give us £2 million in add-ons. Those kinds of things are usually in player contracts. And I remember reading somewhere, I do not know this to be gospel truth, but I was reading somewhere, and it did say that one of the funny clauses in Roberto Firmino's contract was that he would never join Arsenal, regardless of any bid. Why? Because apparently because of that infamous £40 million bid plus £1 that Arsenal did bid for Luis Suarez. For those of you that do remember that transfer saga, which Liverpool considered to be a mockery of transfer negotiations in that kind of sense. So, but anyway, it was what it was. I think Liverpool and Arsenal since sort of it's water under the bridge since then, in as far as their relationship is concerned, because Liverpool did sign an Arsenal player in Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain during Jurgen Klopp's tenure at Liverpool. So for me, that's how I look at it. Then there are reports saying that Christian Chivu is in Milan with his agent, waiting for Inter to get the agreement done and sign as a new coach. A 2-year contract approved by Chivu, waiting on green light. Now, that is after unsuccessful negotiations with Francesco Fabregas to join them as manager. But let's wait and see who the final man will be in the dugout for Inter Milan next season. Then excuse me. Then talks or negotiations between Olympic Lyon and Manchester City do continue over the transfer of Francheki. A financial package over in the excess of 30 million euros is being discussed between the two clubs, with the player having already agreed to personal terms with Manchester City and given them the green light. Man City also earlier on also did, I think yes, we're going to be talking about one of the other players that they've been tracking really for quite some time, and that's none other than Ryan Atnori from Wolverhampton Wanderers. Yes, Ryan Atnori is the other player that they are in pursuit of, and they did reach an agreement to sign him from Wolverhampton Wanderers earlier today. And this was again revealed by Fabrizio Romano that the deal could be worth about 40 million euros. He said, Ryan Atnori to Manchester City is a here we go agreement of club to club done today for a total fee of close to 40 million euros. And understand the medical tests will take place on Saturday. The left back accepted Man City project earlier this week as revealed, and medical will take place this weekend. Now, I mean, guys, let me tell you why it's really hard to compete with Man City, because we're talking about Man City, who just signed Joško Vardiol just 2 seasons ago as a left back, and now we are talking about the same team signing another left back in Ryan Atnori, who, by the way, did have quite an impressive season in as far as his goal contribution was concerned for Wolverhampton Wanderers. He's a player that doesn't often get injured. When he did play, I think about 37. No, not 37. Yes, he played 37 games for Wolverhampton Wanderers this season, scoring 4 goals and providing 7 assists. That's an 11 goal contribution, which could only get better when you're playing for a team like Man City if you remain quite expressive. Yes, Josko Vardiol did join Manchester City from RB Leipzig in a deal that was worth about 90 million euros, which is about 77 million pounds. Quite a record fee for the transfer of a defender. Remember, the most expensive had been, sorry, not a record transfer fee, but the most two expensive defenders in English football had been Harry Maguire from Leicester City to Manchester United for a fee of about 80 million pounds, rising to 85 in add-ons. And then we did have 2018 Virgil van Dijk joining Liverpool from Southampton in a deal that was 75 million pounds. And then we had Josko Vardiol joining Man City. Joining Man City from RB Leipzig. And here we are already because he joined Man City in I think 2023. Yes, he joined Man City at the summer of 2023, and just 2 years down the road, they are already signing another left back in a fee that could reach about 40 million euros. How do you try and compete with that kind of machine? Really, it's sort of it's not an easy thing to contend with or an easy fact, but that speaks to the enormous resources that Man City do have. And Man City also remain in contention to sign Tino Livramento as their preferred right back from Newcastle. And then they also did agree a deal for the transfer of Tijani Rienas from AC Milan. So looks like they are wrapping up their business quite quickly before the start of the FIFA Club World Cup. In the morning, we did speak about Jack Grealish, that's the 29-year-old English international who will not be part of Manchester City's squad for the FIFA Club World Cup. Looks like he needs to find greener pastures. Not greener pastures, but he needs to find game time elsewhere if he is to be part of Thomas Tuchel's squad for the FIFA World Cup that is of 2026. So he still has 2 years left to his contract at Man City, so he could go out on loan or make a permanent move away from Man City should the right fee do come for them. I think mid-table teams should be looking to sign Jack Grealish. Teams like West Ham, teams like Everton, Tottenham Hotspurs have been linked with him there, but I do not think he should go to Tottenham. I think he needs to go to those kind of mid-table teams, even if it's a Crystal Palace, really, because when you're 29 and soon turning 30, really, I do not think in sort of his general behavior or the way he goes about his social life will allow him to play football so far beyond the age of 35. But let's wait and see. I wouldn't want to pass judgment on him in any case whatsoever. Then Liverpool did turn down attempts from Barcelona or inquiries to try and sign Luis Diaz. They did say the player is not for sale. They told Barcelona quite blatantly that the player is not for sale. However, Al Nassr are willing to make a bid of up to 85 million euros to test Liverpool's resolve in keeping the 28-year-old Colombian international who has only 2 years left to his current contract with Liverpool, and there have been no formal talks or even initiations over a new contract. Liverpool say they will be happy to keep the player, but Al Nassr would want to test their resolve with a bid of up to 85 million euros. Whether the player would be willing to move to Saudi Arabia, that remains to be seen, but at least the offer is expected to be made. That bid will be made. And then Real Madrid and Benfica are close to reaching a full agreement for the transfer of Alvaro Carreras. That's the left back from Benfica that Real Madrid want to sign. Then Cadiz want to sign Soso. He's going to be a free agent after leaving Sevilla at the end of the season. So that is there as well. And then Francesc Asebi will not be joining Simone Inzaghi at Al Hilal, as some reports have made it. But Al Hilal wanted to sign Victor Osimhen, like we've spoken about, but they also, after failing in their attempt to sign Bruno Fernandes, they did turn their attention to Henderson. That's the Atlanta midfielder. Yes, the Brazilian international, who not so far back, I think last summer or before that, was linked with a potential move to Arsenal. This summer, he was linked with a potential move to Manchester United. There. So, anyways, guys, I think that's a majority of the news, or at least the major headlines out there. Arsenal's Nuno Tavares does join Lazio on a permanent deal after a season-long loan. Arguably one of the best wing backs there. He had a very successful season, although his second part of the season was hampered by injuries. So, but don't be surprised if other teams do go, especially in the Italian Serie A, to buy Nuno Tavares quite expensively out from Lazio. Apologies on that. Apologies, but I think it's okay to, to take a sip of water as we conclude tonight's broadcast. But anyways, yeah, I think let's keep it at that. Let's discuss the rest of it tomorrow. Let's go over it again tomorrow. In as far as the major gossip goes, Jordan Sancho, there's a reported interest from Aston Villa. Oh yes, before I let you guys go, another key news. I think this was broken by Ben Jacobs. Either Ben Jacobs or Alex Crooks, not Alex Cross, like I mentioned in the morning. Alex Crooks. He did reveal that Victor Gyökeres would be open to a move to Manchester United even without UEFA Champions League football. Yes, so I know. Earlier on, it had been reported that UEFA Champions League football is a priority for him and that kind of thing, but reports are coming out this evening to say that he could make the move. And this is what Ben Jacobs put out, saying Victor Gyökeres is open to Manchester United even without UEFA Champions League football. No approach to Sporting Lisbon yet, and several other European and Saudi suitors, but Ruben Amorim is still in touch with the player. Sporting will sell for around 70 million euros. Story by Alex Crook. Now, then it begs the question that we've all along been hearing that Arsenal had made contact with Victor Gyökeres. Maybe they made contact on player side, not on the club side, over the potential signing of him. So that is quite interesting news for Manchester United, because after losing out on Liam Delap, I was saying that, and even before missing out on him, I was really making a submission saying that Man United need to sign a player, a striker in their prime, and stop going for these youngsters that end up struggling, bearing the shoulders of being the goal scorers for a team the size of Manchester United. There you have it. Victor Osimhen is open to a move. Then Chelsea have been offered the opportunity to sign Mohamed Kudus from West Ham United. They did want to sign him back, I think, in 2023, when he made the move from Ajax to West Ham. Arsenal were also interested at the time, which is quite exciting. Now, it is being reported that Chelsea have not said no, but have not said yes either. That's according to Sky Sports News. But West Ham, in return, have also inquired about the availability of Chelsea goalkeeper Robert Sanchez, who Graham Potter, the current West Ham manager, worked with at his time at Brighton. So I think the dots do connect there. They did also inquire about Keenan Dewsbury-Hall, and so they've been offered the chance to sign Mohamed Kudus, that's Chelsea, while names including Robert Sanchez and Keenan Dewsbury-Hall were mentioned as of potential interest to the Hammers. No players Chelsea at this stage are seeking to offload. Not not players Chelsea are seeking to offload at this stage. But I think Kenan Brisbane Hall, that one will leave. I mean, for a player that they signed about 30 million, he's so the news regarding transfers never does really end. We can never exhaust it because it's a sort of a revolving machine. Things are ever evolving, things are ever changing. I hope you guys can able to hear me again. Sorry about that. My microphone did go off for a bit there. But we are speaking about Chelsea, saying that Chelsea have been offered the opportunity to sign Mohamed Kudus from West Ham, but in the process, West Ham did inquire about the availability of Robert Sanchez and Kenan Brisbane Hall. For those of you that do remember, Robert Sanchez did work with current West Ham manager Graham Potter during his time at Brighton and Hove Albion. Chelsea had wanted to sign Mohamed Kudus back in 2023 before he made the move to West Ham. Arsenal had also been interested in signing him at the time. So, but according to Ben Jacobs, that Chelsea are not looking to really offload Robert Sanchez and Kenan Brisbane Hall at the time. But like I was saying, for a player that they signed for a fee of about 35 million euros, Kenan Brisbane Hall has really sort of not has sort of under-delivered really by measure of that price tag. But like I was saying, the news regarding transfers never really ends. It's always broad, bigger, and continuous. So anyway, so I think that's the gist of the transfers. We'll get into the deeper conversations of this tomorrow morning. To speak more about Victor Gyökeres being open to a move to Manchester United. I hope I was still audible at the time, or my voice had not gone off. But it is being reported that Victor Gyökeres is open to a move to Manchester United, even though they do not have a UEFA Champions League football, and that was revealed by Alex Crooks of TalkSport, saying that Ruben Amorim is still in contact with the 27-year-old Swedish international. So we'll keep our eyes on that. And then, according to the Times, Arsenal have added Aston Villa's English winger Morgan Rogers, 22 years of age, and 24-year-old Igor Pioxa, who plays for Feyenoord, on their shortlist for transfer targets this summer. Again, I did speak about Morgan Rogers in a video that will be published tomorrow. That video will be premiering tomorrow morning at around 9 a.m. Yes, tomorrow morning at around 9 a.m. That video will be premiering as I do take a deep dive into Arsenal, their squad, and what their priorities should be in the transfer window this summer if they are to get over the edge of finishing second for 3 consecutive seasons in the Premier League and become Premier League champions. Anyways, guys, allow me to wrap it here. Do not forget to check out for those of you that could be interested in learning digital skills, do not forget to check out Ebostate. They're based in Kansanga, Kampala, Uganda. But do check out their website if you're interested in learning web design, coding, that's including app development, as well as cyber security. They do offer in-person training sessions, as well as online training sessions, as well as career guidance. They do help their trainees find jobs in the dynamic digital space. So I'll leave their link down in the description so that you can check them out at your most convenient time. But thank you so much for always tuning to the broadcast. Special shout outs to you, Pris Nkosi. Thank you so much, Ahmad Septa from Indonesia. Thank you so much, Explorer. That was with us earlier on. Thank you so much, Remonde. Remonde Kari. Thank you so much, um, uh, Tony Martinez. Tony Martinez. Yes, I hope I do pronounce your name well. Thank you so much, Said Bilal Azimi. Said Bilal Azimi. You are with us earlier on. Thank you so much, Alfie Dogan, for being with us earlier on at the start of this podcast. Much appreciated to all our new community members and the usual suspects. Thank you so much, Amlen. Thank you so much, Mariam Omoto, for always sparing the minute to be with us at even when the time is not convenient for some of you, when especially on this late night broadcast. But we'll keep them coming. You'll have to bear with us, and we will be always here to talk sport with you. As we see the best suitable time that does fit all, that may suit most. I know there's no size that fits all. So, anyways, that's it for me. Have yourselves a wonderful rest of the night, and I'll see you tomorrow morning. Bye bye.